Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
I used to believe that hard work spoke for itself, that dedication and loyalty couldn't be questioned. After all, 34 years at Kingston Financial Services had to mean something. I was wrong. The office buzzed with the usual Monday morning chaos. My desk was a fortress of client files, color-coded schedules, and sticky notes reminding me of deadlines. Over the years, I had built this corner into the heartbeat of the company. Clients trusted me, colleagues sought my guidance, and I felt a sense of quiet pride in my work. "Morning, Aliyah." Ryan's voice dripped with false sweetness as he perched on the edge of my desk, his ever-present smirk, as though he was privy to a joke no one else understood, grated on my nerves. "Good morning, Ryan. Anything I can help you with?" I kept my tone professional, though I sensed trouble brewing. "Actually, yes." He leaned in, his cologne too strong. "Beatrix and I thought it'd be great if you could take a look at these reports. They need to be filed by noon." He dropped a thick stack of papers onto my desk without waiting for my response. My stomach tightened. "These aren't part of my assignments." "Sure," he replied casually, "but you're the expert, right? We wouldn't want any errors." He winked and strolled off, leaving me staring at the mountain of paperwork. I glanced at Beatrix, seated a few desks away. She was whispering something to another colleague, her laughter cutting through the hum of the office. When her eyes met mine, she arched an eyebrow, her lips curling into a smug smile. The harassment had started subtly months ago. It was small things at first, side comments, forgotten credits for shared projects, but their actions had escalated since I declined the promotion. The memory of that meeting with Douglas Campbell, the company's president, flashed in my mind. "Aliyah, your experience and client relationships make you the perfect candidate," he had said, his eyes sincere. "Thank you, Douglas, but I'm not sure the role aligns with what I want at this stage of my career," I had replied gently. Ryan and Beatrix had wanted that promotion. They made no effort to hide their disdain when it wasn't offered to them. My refusal made me a target. By lunchtime, I had finished the reports, sacrificing my break. As I placed them on Ryan's desk, he didn't even glance up from his phone. "Thanks, Aliyah. You're a lifesaver," he said, his tone laced with sarcasm. "Don't mention it," I replied, barely concealing my irritation. Later that afternoon, Beatrix approached me, holding her tablet. "Aliyah, about the overtime hours you claimed last week. What about them?" "Well," she said, lowering her voice theatrically, "it just seems odd that you're clocking so many extra hours. Almost as if." She trailed off, her implication clear. My cheeks burned. "If you're suggesting I'm exploiting the system, you're mistaken. Those hours were for the international client project you handed off to me." "Oh, relax, Aliyah. Just a little joke." She grinned, but her eyes glinted with malice. The trigger came 2 days later. Douglas called me into his office. His face was grave. "There's been a complaint, Aliyah. Ryan and Beatrix claim you've been." He hesitated, as though the words tasted bitter. "Exploiting overtime and delegating your work unfairly." My chest tightened. "Douglas, you know that's not true." He sighed. "I believe you, but I need to investigate. Until then, please keep your head down." I left the office with a pounding heart, Ryan and Beatrix's laughter ringing in my ears. For the first time in 34 years, I felt the weight of betrayal pressing on my shoulders, suffocating the pride I once carried. The letter lay on my desk, its pristine white mocking me. At the top, in bold black letters, were the words, "Notice of termination pending investigation." I had always imagined the end of my career at Kingston Financial Services would be marked by a retirement party, not a forced resignation. My hands trembled as I read the allegations again. Claims of misconduct and abuse of overtime benefits. Lies crafted with precision. I stormed into Douglas Campbell's office. He was seated behind his massive oak desk, his expression unreadable. Douglas, I've served this company with unwavering loyalty for 34 years. How could you let it come to this? He gestured for me to sit, but I remained standing. Alaya, he began, I told you this was a procedural matter. Ryan and Beatrix presented evidence that's difficult to ignore. I don't have a choice but to follow through. I leaned forward, my voice trembling with suppressed fury. Evidence? Their claims are fabricated. You've known me long enough to recognize that. He sighed deeply, his eyes avoiding mine. I know it's hard to believe, but my hands are tied. The board demands a resolution. I stared at him, the weight of betrayal settling heavily in my chest. So this is it. After everything, I'm just collateral damage. Douglas looked down, his silence confirming the answer. The resignation wasn't just humiliating, it was a death knell for my professional identity. By the time I packed up my desk, whispers had spread through the office. Colleagues who once respected me now avoided eye contact. Ryan and Beatrix, however, didn't bother with subtlety. Leaving so soon, Alaya? Ryan sneered as I passed his desk. Beatrix stifled a laugh. I stopped, turning to face them. You've taken everything you wanted, haven't you? But remember this, lies have a way of unraveling. You won't get away with this forever. Their smirks faltered, if only for a moment. When I stepped out of the building, clutching the box of my belongings, the crisp air felt suffocating. My world had crumbled in a matter of days. The aftermath hit harder than I expected. At first, I tried to keep busy, updating my resume, sending emails to contacts, but the silence of my empty house was deafening. The routine I'd clung to for decades had vanished, leaving me adrift. Then the calls began. Alaya, this is Darren from Weston Investments. I just heard what happened, and I'm shocked. We'll be terminating our contract with Kingston Financial immediately. And another. Hi, Alaya. I just wanted to let you know we've decided to withdraw our portfolio from Kingston. We trust you, not the team they left behind. Client after client reached out, their voices echoing the same sentiment. Kingston wasn't Kingston without me. The loyalty I had built over decades was not easily transferred, and the cracks in the company's facade began to show. One evening, as I sifted through emails, my phone buzzed with an unexpected number. Alaya, it's Douglas. I froze, the bitterness of his last words still fresh. What do you want? There's a situation, he said, his tone unusually subdued. We need to talk. I ended the call without responding, but a spark of vindication flickered in my chest. For the first time since I walked out of that building, I felt the tides beginning to turn. It was an ordinary Tuesday morning when my phone rang. The unfamiliar number blinked insistently, and I debated letting it go to voicemail. Something in me, perhaps curiosity or spite, made me answer. Alaya Barrett speaking. Alaya, it's Douglas Campbell. His voice, once commanding, now held a note of uncertainty. I leaned back in my chair, gripping the phone tightly. What do you want, Douglas? He hesitated. That hesitation spoke louder than words. Can we meet? It's important. I let silence stretch until it became unbearable for him. I owe you an explanation, he added hurriedly. Please, Alaya. Against my better judgment, I agreed. 2 hours later, I found myself sitting across from Douglas in a quiet cafe. He looked older, wearier than I remembered, his confidence diminished. I won't waste your time, he began, his hands clasped tightly on the table. I made a mistake, a grave one. I arched an eyebrow, saying nothing. Let him squirm. After you left, he continued, the company began unraveling. Clients have been withdrawing their accounts. The team, well, let's just say they're overwhelmed. And then he trailed off, searching for the right words. And then you discovered Ryan and Beatrix weren't the golden employees you thought they were. I finished for him. Douglas nodded, his face pale. I should have seen it sooner. Their work is riddled with errors. Expense reports are questionable at best. And yesterday I received an anonymous email with evidence of their misconduct. It's damning, Alaya. I folded my arms. Damning enough to finally make you regret forcing me out? He winced, and for a moment, I thought I saw a flicker of genuine remorse. I'm here to apologize, to admit I was wrong. I should never have doubted your integrity. Apologies don't erase the humiliation I endured, Douglas. My voice was calm, but the bitterness seeped through. Or the fact that you let two snakes poison a company I gave my life to. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a folder, sliding it across the table. This is everything I have on them. Their manipulation, their lies. You were right, Alaya, and I need your help to make it right. I stared at the folder, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. You want me to come back? Yes, he said simply. The board is in chaos. The clients trust you, not the firm. Without you, we're doomed. I leaned forward, meeting his gaze. If I agree, it will be on my terms. Ryan and Beatrix are out immediately, and you'll ensure they're held accountable for their actions. Done, he said without hesitation. As I left the cafe, a folder tucked under my arm, I felt a strange mix of vindication and apprehension. The fight wasn't over yet, but for the first time, I had the upper hand. Returning to the office felt surreal, like stepping onto a battlefield I had no choice but to fight on. The tension in the air was palpable. Ryan and Beatrix avoided eye contact when I entered the boardroom, where Douglas had convened an emergency meeting. I've called this meeting, Douglas began, his tone steely, because serious allegations have come to light regarding misconduct within the company. Ryan's face flushed. Beatrix fidgeted nervously, her nails tapping on the table. Alaya has provided crucial evidence, Douglas continued, gesturing toward the documents spread across the table. We'll review this now. The room fell silent as I stood, my voice steady but cold. Let's start with the expense reports. I slid a stack of papers to the center. Here you'll see a pattern of inflated claims, business trips that never happened, dinners that were personal indulgences, all signed off by Ryan and Beatrix. This is absurd, Ryan snapped, standing abruptly. You expect us to believe this fabrication? I met his glare. Careful, Ryan. Your signature is on every claim. Douglas held up a page, his expression darkening. These expenses don't align with company policy. Explain this, Ryan. It's a mistake, Beatrix interjected, her voice shaky. Someone's framing us. Framing you. I shot back, my voice sharp. Was someone framing you when you approved overtime pay for yourselves while burdening me with your work, or when you submitted fraudulent reports? The board members murmured among themselves, the tide of opinion shifting rapidly. And then, I added, my voice rising, there's this. I opened a folder containing emails, proof of their underhanded schemes, including manipulating workloads and even attempting to discredit me with fabricated accusations. Beatrix's face went white. This isn't. It's undeniable, Douglas interrupted, his voice cold as steel. And then there's your affair. The air in the room froze. I revealed photographs and correspondences that highlighted their personal indiscretions, which had often distracted them from their responsibilities. Beatrix's voice cracked. Douglas, please. No more lies, Douglas said firmly. Your behavior has not only endangered the company, but also destroyed trust within this organization. Alaya, he turned to me, his voice softer. Thank you for bringing this to light. Your courage has saved this company. Ryan and Beatrix were escorted out, their protests echoing down the hallway. For the first time in months, I felt a weight lift. Justice had been served. But this wasn't just about retribution. It was about rebuilding on a foundation of truth and integrity. The morning sun filtered through my living room window as I prepared for what I hoped would be my final meeting with Douglas Campbell. Justice had been served to Ryan and Beatrix, but the scars of their betrayal lingered. I carried the weight of those 34 years of dedication and the pain of almost losing it all. When I entered the conference room, Douglas stood waiting. His usually stoic demeanor was softened by a sense of resolve. "Alaya," he greeted, extending his hand. "Thank you for coming. I've finalized the actions we discussed." I nodded, taking a seat. "I hope the company has learned its lesson." He sighed deeply. "It has. Ryan and Beatrix have been formally terminated, and legal proceedings are underway to recover the embezzled funds. But there's something more." Douglas slid a sleek envelope across the table. "This is for you." Curious, I opened it to find a letter of reinstatement and a significant promotion to a senior advisory position. My eyes widened. "I can't accept this," I said, pushing the envelope back. Douglas leaned forward. "Alaya, the company owes you more than just an apology. You built relationships, systems, and a reputation that we nearly destroyed by allowing Ryan and Beatrix to run unchecked. You belong here." Before I could respond, the door burst open and a security officer entered. "Mr. Campbell, we've detained Ryan," he announced. He was caught attempting to access restricted files. My heart raced as Douglas stood abruptly. "Bring him in." Moments later, Ryan was escorted in, his face pale but his defiance unbroken. "You can't do this," he shouted. "I know things that will ruin this company if you don't reinstate me." Douglas's jaw tightened. "You're in no position to negotiate, Ryan." Ryan's smirk sent a chill through me. "Oh, but I am. Let's see how your precious clients react when they find out certain deals weren't as transparent as they seemed." Douglas turned to me, his eyes silently asking for advice. "Let him talk," I said, my voice calm. "But record every word. He'll only incriminate himself further." Ryan faltered. "You wouldn't dare." "We already have," Douglas interrupted, gesturing to the recording device on the table. Caught off guard, Ryan slumped into a chair. His threats had been hollow, and he knew it. As security led him away, Douglas turned to me, his expression a mix of relief and respect. "That was brilliant, Alaya." I stood, gathering my things. "I don't need a position or a title to prove my worth, Douglas. What I needed was closure, and I found it." Walking out of that office for the last time, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't known in years. Justice wasn't just about punishment. It was about reclaiming what mattered most: my dignity, my integrity, and my life.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.